We'll start with a couple opening remarks and then we'll take questions. Go ahead, Coach.
Well, it's that time of year again. And although I've done this for several years, it's still just so much joy and excitement and anticipation for our talented team. So I'm really excited. Love my team. They're fast, competitive, and eager. So we'll see how this whole thing shakes out. It's a long season, but right now, a speed that reminds me a little bit of our when Shanice and Bebe and Sylvia and Stroman were on the same team together. And we have some length, some special post players. I think our guard play is really good, but first practice isn't until Saturday, so I'll know a lot more then.
We'll go into questions first from Michelle Kaufman. Go ahead, Michelle.
Hi, Katie. Good to see you.
Hi.
A couple of things. I wanted to ask you, the trip to Europe, how did that go? How does that help give your team a little bit of a, kind of a little bit of a head start as far as gelling as a team and as a unit compared to when you don't have that time together? If you could tell us a little bit about that trip.
Yeah, it's huge.
And then just what do you see so far as, how is this team going to look different from last year? Who are going to be the new team leaders that are emerging? Destiny's not here. She was such a big part. How do you see this team right now, even though they haven't played, but what do you see from them just from a personnel standpoint?
From the European tour, I think the biggest difference is I plan out, I do this about 10-page spreadsheet where I plan out what we want to get in before our first scrimmage, right? And I print out a calendar of all the days and the practice numbers, and then I sketch out. And we're already 10 practices in. So practice number 1 isn't going to feel like a normal practice number 1. We've only done 4 team workouts since we've been back. I've let it be pretty individualized because, at some point, the little round thing's got to go in the big round thing more, and that's a lot of skill work. So we're patient what we got to install, I think, this fall. But the trip itself was amazing. The first game we played we had all these new players, people playing in new roles, and we played against Maeva and Naomi because they were playing on the French All-Stars, and they are great players, and they weren't even, there were players as good or better than them on that team. So we played a strict professional team that was so very good, and we got up and then we got down and we fought back and we won it in the 4th. And I thought, my God, we had barely anything installed. And I was really impressed with the grit and how competitive the team is. So I think that's what's exciting. And then with the new look, who's going to, in the 4th quarter last year, we went to Destiny, or we gave the ball to Haley. Haley never missed a free throw, right? And Destiny was a real clutch player. But I think the 4th quarter Lola Pendande's 4th quarter defense in her time at Miami was the best I've seen. And when you think about our Elite 8 run, and we played against a first team All-American post player, like boom, 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 3 in a row, or at least a first or second team All-American, and Lola had that matchup most of the time. So if we can answer that, and that's a huge if, who's the gamer, and then who's going to get the stops for us when we need them? And that's to be determined. Kyla and Z are very, very talented post players. You'll see Tasha Lattimore coming back from an ACL. But, they do not have the defensive experience of a Lola. And then who's going to hit the game-winning shot? That's still up in the balance, too. I think Jazz absolutely proves she's got the guts for it. But you need more than one.
Next question from Wyatt Kopelman. Go ahead, Wyatt.
Hey, Coach, just heard from Jalea about how she's extended or continued her relationship with Destiny, through the offseason and going into the midst of the preseason preparation. Just how do you think that's helped her step up, become more of a leader, especially with all the newcomers coming into the backcourt this coming season?
Yeah, well, God, they're just the Miami kind of thread of the pride, of the guts, of the, you gotta practice hard, even when you don't feel well. Those kind of lessons being passed down, that means so much to me. Jalea is our magic. She absolutely, I'm watching now that Winning Time season 2 on, what is it ever on HBO or Max or whatever it's on. And When I watched the first season of it on the Lakers and Magic, when he was a rookie and he came in, but he still, the locker room lit up. He brought his, music and his confidence, and we're going to win this game. And he brought all that, and it's a joy, but it's a competitive joy, and it's not immature, and it's not irresponsible. There's a real purpose to it. And Jalea is that. And she leads through that. She leads through, if I'm in a bad mood, there's going to be maybe a very few players that can approach me, try to make me laugh, but she's one of them, and she'll get me laughing and change the tempo and change the tone. And so those kind of lessons are really important, and leadership's going to be huge on this team. And I think Jalea's absolutely like the spark.
Next question from Adam. Go ahead.
Hey, Katie, how's it going?
Great.
My question is just about the new training center, and just how much that helps you guys get better as a team, and how it helps in recruiting to have that new facility. Just can you kind of give us the lowdown on it?
Yeah, I mean, there's some things that people used to hit us in recruiting, and we've worked just as hard. I've had a pretty consistent staff, so we haven't really changed our message or whatever. But this last push, when the Elite Eight helped, but the facilities, they used to kill us on housing. They'd say, the housing on your campus. And to be frank, it was the freshman, sophomore housing was a little drab and dreary. We build these new villages on our campus that are like condos with, climbing walls and outdoor volleyball courts and, restaurants and everything else like that. And so that took one of those hits away. And the other hit was our training facility. Our weight room was pretty small, and you had to, it was a one stop. You go here for this, you had to go there to get sports psychologist, you had to go over here to see a doctor, and then nutrition center, and then the training room. And now it's an elite training area, and you don't go there if you just have a problem. I mean, this new facility is huge for us. It's huge for our philosophy as well. Like, do you want to be a pro? Like recruiting and retention have become the two biggest things a head coach has to worry about with their players, with their staff. Recruit them and then retain them. I mean, those are our two things. That's it. I mean, quality control throughout the process, but recruit and retain. And this facility helps both tremendously, because, we're trying to make, if you're an elite college women's head coach, right, you're trying to make this college experience better. That it's the top tier. Now, I'm not saying it's a top tier in terms of competition, but when you're in the ACC, yeah, almost. But you go pro, you go play pro overseas, you go in the WNBA. Like, are you chartering every flight? No, but Miami is, right? Do you have, now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coaches plus me, that type of training. Do you have a sports psychologist around every day? Do you have a team doctor? Do you, all these things that we provide now, trainer and specific. And so that's my recruit, retain, and quality control. And all of those three things, those three buckets, we hit them all now. And so it's shown up in recruiting for sure.
Next question from Marcus. Go ahead.
Hi, Coach. I wanted to ask about the transfers that you have coming in here. With today's college sports, transferring is very commonplace, and with Miami's recent success, of course, making it to your first Elite Eight, Miami's now become like a destination school. Yeah. Can you just kind of talk about how Miami is appealing for players that are considering to transfer, and just anything that you want to say about the transfers that have come in?
Right. To be honest, if you've been somewhere else, and I think it starts with people first. So I do think the facilities and everything help, but I think it starts with people. And when you come to our practice, if you've been somewhere else and then you walk into one of our practices, you're going to see this joy. You're going to see this freedom. You're going to see this incredible support, emotional support. You're going to see toughness. You're going to see the players getting on each other, right? But there's a lot of communication. There's a lot of chatter, and it's not a one voice all the time kind of situation. So when transfers come on a visit and they see this, you can't fake what we've built in all this time, right? It's real. It's authentic. It's off the cuff. We're not putting on a show. We're not putting on an act. So that's one thing I think that really the transfers that came here, like what's coming out of their minds now, if they've been through some practices and some work, what they're saying to me, what they're saying to their teammates and their friends is, my God, like I feel so comfortable. Like I can make a mistake, but I just have to play hard on the next possession. So there's a lot that's a really good reason why a lot of people are coming. And then, yes, we have the backdrop of a beautiful city. We have an amazing university. But most of these transfers had those options, but they were missing something. Okay. But now, like I said before, you can't knock us on the other categories either. So our team, our bond, our coaching staff, how close we all are, that absolutely is the number one reason why we're picking up traction, but there's no negative. All right. So that we've eliminated a couple of the negatives that have been hitting us.
Take our final question from Michelle Kaufman. Go ahead, Michelle.
All right. Katie, I'm just wondering, I know you always, I'm sure it's your goal every year to win the national title, right? I mean, every coach, probably every player, that's always what's out there. But you actually did reach the Elite Eight this year, historic run. Do you, in all honesty, has your bar been raised to, what this program can be? And, how, when you enter this season, does it feel different coming in off an Elite Eight? Have your expectations gotten higher just as a coach, as a program, as opposed to when you would kind of dream and wish that you could be in the Elite Eight or the Final Four? Now that it's been a reality, how does that affect your mentality coming into the season as the coach of this program?
Yeah, that's a great question, because there's a lot of different ways to answer it that have gone through my head. I'm sure, like, why couldn't we hit a shot against LSU is the first one, right? I thought our defensive game plan was amazing. The why, the same reason our season ended the year before at South Carolina. We've lost to the national champion. Why? They were amazing defensive teams. So you can blame yourself a little bit, but my God, you got to give credit to these buzzsaws that we ran into that were tough outs for us. Did a great job of personnel scouting, right? That it frustrates you. So I'm never a coach that says we shot poorly. I give credit to the other team. They made us perform poorly on the offensive end, but defensively, our two best defensive efforts since I've been at Miami were to South Carolina holding the Leah Boston, and LSU, what we did to Angel Reed, like, and how we stifled their offense. But so we have the ability to go anywhere with that type of defense. But we played against two teams that take the scout very personally. And so some of our individual skill and shots that we needed to hit outside of our comfort zone, we got to work on. But in reflection, the draw, I got to tell you, I've had teams with two All-Americans on them, right? Why didn't they go to the Elite Eight? Maybe we had some other things happening, but the truth of the matter, when we got this particular draw, we were like, oh my goodness, because it was something we were familiar with. We had played Indiana the year before. We knew Oklahoma State's style, that we could get a little free. We could play athletically against them. And so the draw, in all of my wisdom, we were ready for it, but we got a really favorable draw as an 8-9 seed, which usually you don't. And Indiana was an amazing team, but if there was a team that we could beat and our style could impose our will on someone, the draw was there for us, and we played extremely well. So just catching fire at the right time, getting a break here or there. But my God, I think the biggest thing is when you rewatch the games and we really, every game was so close. And I honestly did one night watch the 3 games in a row and just could not believe how nervous I was. It wasn't in the game, but actually just watching it as a fan, how close they were every possession, how, what a roller coaster it was, and just really believing that my staff and my players we just stayed calm and we stayed organized, which is what our little mantra was: stay calm and stay organized. And we did.
And how do you approach this season coming off that? Is the bar raised for your program?
I know. You reference it, I try to not to reference it too much. I don't think it's fair. This is the team's new journey, and it's our journey, and we're capable of it as well. And we know that. But there's a definite, if you think about the run and you forget that those, random game in January where you beat a team, when you're down 8 and whatever. And there are so many, if we didn't win that game, like one game last year, we would have lost. We wouldn't have been in that spot. We wouldn't have even made the tournament. I mean, we were that much. So that's the thing where I try to just like, okay, don't go up there, stay right here, stay on the fact that this non-conference is tough. some opportunities in the non-conference, and then do your discipline in the ACC, which I think we've done very well. We've been very disciplined in our conference play over the years, and that's earned us a berth in all those years.
Thank you very much, Coach.
Thank you.